Hello and welcome back to The Voice Within. Today I'm recording this podcast episode from my car. This is something I never did on the voice note, on the voice app on my phone. To be honest, it's such a nice feeling to be free in that way after year and a bit of recording this podcast that I reached the point where I'm so free with it. I'm enjoying it. I'm recording it whenever and however I can, as long as I'm consistent and as long as I'm showing up for what is important to me. And when I look back on beginning of recording it back then when I was doing it in Bosnia, and even at the time when I started doing it in English, it had to be perfect setup. It had to be perfect timing, a script next to me, everything had to be polished, because deep inside I thought that this is what matters. In order for my voice to be heard, to be accepted, everything had to look perfectly. But as I was growing inside of myself, and as I was growing like a podcaster, if that is the name to be called, I started realizing that none of this is important. What is important is consistency, and what is important that I'm doing what I love to do, that I'm showing up for promise that I gave to myself. And behind all of that is important the weight that my voice is carrying, the words I'm shaping every Sunday for you, so you could find something useful for yourself in my words. So if today my voice is not perfect, if today the audio recording is not perfectly polished, just accept it like a part of process of accepting imperfectly polished podcast, enjoying the words, enjoying the fact that I just stopped in the middle of the street on some small parking in small gap of the time that I have to record something useful for you, so you can listen today, so you can connect with me through this podcast on the deeper level. And to be honest, I have a lot of podcasts that I'm listening all the time when I'm driving, when I'm cooking in the house. And some of the most useful or the best episode that I ever heard from other people were those which were unpolished while the people are going to the gym, driving, walking, doing ordinary things. I think there is some release in the moment when we're doing it at unconventional way, when we just release ourselves and just talk to the phone with intention to connect with the people. But all of that wouldn't be possible if I didn't grow. All of that wouldn't be possible if all of this time I was not improving myself, improving my understanding of myself, of my voice, of the message that my voice is carrying, of the people I could touch with the things I know, with the things I share. All of that wouldn't be possible. That ease of recording the podcast episode in the car wouldn't be possible if I didn't made a lot of micro decisions in the past years, which brought me to the place of having such a ease to do this from the car. And today I want to talk actually about that. I want to talk about growth. While I was driving, I was thinking, what should I record? What should I speak today? What could touch you? What could bring some understanding in your life of how do I do that inner game? How do I change? How do I improve my life? Is that change happens like a huge breakthrough? What actually happens that you know that you are in a good path? Is it some destination where you reach and then suddenly everything is easy, everything is perfect, you don't have any more that tension inside of yourself? So I thought this would be useful, the fact that I reach the point in my life where I have that some level of ease, but it's more trust in myself than it's ease. The life is still happening, the struggles are still there, but there is different kind of conviction which is sitting now in me, which is guiding me through life obstacles. So I made a decision today to record podcast episode and give you insights on how does it actually looks to grow? What does it actually mean? A lot of people think that it's impossible to change, that if you are that way, you stay that way all of your life. And I used to think that is very hard, that you have to be some superhuman to change yourself, that you have to be, completely in discipline, in commitment to the things to be able to actually change your inner world. And for a long time, I didn't even understand what does it mean to grow. Like, what does that actually mean? How do I grow? How do I become somebody different? How do I start seeing the world in a different way than I'm seeing it right now? And we often talk about growth like it's some big dramatic breakthrough. Like you grow now you reach to some destination, to some place where you are untouchable. But actually it doesn't feel that way. It's just feels more like a groundness, more like a steadiness, more like you know exactly what you're supposed to do in the moment. You're not gonna collapse under the pressure of the life. You're gonna hold yourself regardless of what happens to you. In real life, growth is quiet, and it comes in the moments when we choose not to explain ourselves. It comes in those moments where we are making a lot of micro decisions to change ourselves. Maybe those days when we let go of the guilt. Maybe those days when we do one small thing differently, when we make decision with awareness to do something differently that day. So in my experience, the growth, it's not like some huge grand declaration, but it's hundreds of thousands of those small dignified decisions that we make day by day, minute by minute, in awareness. Because here is the thing, when you want to change something in your life, if you are staying in a place where you are, you don't need awareness. You're just doing it on autopilot. But in order for you to improve yourself or to change something, you have to become aware of the things you are doing. If we take example, let's say biting the nails, and if you have habit of the biting the nails or picking your face, you need a lot of awareness about your habit to be able to change it. You need to catch yourself in a moment when you're doing it and put the hand down. And then what happens over the time that your habit fades away. So this is what happens with the growth. It's like a nails biting. We make decisions in a moment with a full awareness that this time we want to do it differently. And it is hard. This is why a lot of people don't change. It is hard when all of your body is screaming to make it the way it's used to it, to do it how it's easier, but then you make decision and do it differently. Because here is the thing, to stay who you are, you don't need awareness. It's automatic response. This is who you are. You don't need to do nothing. But if you want to change something, if you want to grow, that means that you have to become aware of the things you are doing. You have to become aware of the nails biting. And you have to make a decision in the moment not to do it, to change something. And this is extremely hard. But here is the thing. Over the time, it becomes easier and easier. Because the habit of automatic response, the who you are inside of yourself starts slowly shifting, starts slowly changing, and then you start noticing that what was before hard suddenly is becoming easier and easier. And the people often tend to wait for some huge dramatic things to happen in their life to change something. We wait for, life to hit us in the back, that we don't have other option than changing. And in this moment, usually people explain it with, he had such a hard life, something happened to him or to her, and then they change because they've been forced by the circumstances of life. They didn't have other option than to become strong, to change their habits, to do something, especially when the people are affected with the health problems, they change the things because they didn't have other option. But when we are in abundance, when we are in a state of, let's say, peace, when nothing is forcing us to change, the only thing which can bring us to change is basically our willpower. It's our decision and our willingness to do something different for ourselves. So how would in practical way look like that growth? How in practical way would look like that small changes? Let's say if you have habit of over-explaining yourself, this was one of my habits, that I would explain every single thing I do or make or decide, or it's like I was constantly asking for permission from somebody to do what I want to do. I had to, with a full awareness, stop myself in a moment when I see that I'm about to over-explain myself. Or, for example, the growth is happening in the moments when you don't reply to a triggering message from somebody, when you just leave it for some time to calm down. Or if your husband texts you something and you get upset with it and you just want to pick up on fight with him, you sometimes stay for days with that message until you calm down, that you be able to lead conversation from the grounded place. What we usually do, we move from reactivity, and reactivity is not something we choose, it's in the moment. But when we reach the point of understanding that we can choose our response, and not responding in the moment is choice point. Is the moment where you decide, I will hold myself until I'm calm enough, grounded enough to speak clearly about this triggering message. I'm not going to be reactive. And of course, this in the moment is hard, but growth is hard. Like I said, that's why a lot of people don't do it. Or let's say, when you decide to keep your ground, keep your boundaries with your children, with some people who are crossing your boundaries. Or let's say to say to the people, I need more time to think about it, or I cannot do it today, or I'm not ready to do that. Like those micro moments where you notice that you are trading yourself, that you are pleasing other people, going towards other people's comfort instead of listening to yourself and what is good for you. And you make those decisions, micro decisions in the moment to do it differently, even when your underwear is shaking from the fear, you do it differently for yourself. And what happens when over the time you accumulate a lot of those micro decisions? You start gathering evidences of your change. You start seeing in yourself, wait a minute, I can do this. I can say no to people. I can hold my ground with my child. I can talk with my husband from response and not reactivity. You start gaining confidence. It's like a credit score. Your credit score of confidence goes up, and you start believing in yourself that you can actually change. And then each time when you choose yourself, each time when you make that micro decision, you slightly reclaim your dignity. Those small decisions, they rewire your system, your nervous system, and they completely shift your self-image quietly, decision per decision, but it is permanently. Because when you, over the time, pile up and accumulate a lot of decisions which actually support you to become new version of yourself, then you have a lot of confidence, then you have a lot of evidences to see that you are actually becoming that person. And it is imperfect. Sometimes you will slip into old habits, but you will be aware that in the moment maybe you didn't make a good decision, but you will keep the track of it for the next time to make a different decision. And it's not about being always wise and strong, being always the perfect, doing it perfectly. What we tend to do, especially females, we do 20 things correctly and then one thing we do it wrong. And it's like we forgot all of these 20 things that we did good. We just focus on that one thing, because that one thing is like a proof of us failing, proof of us not doing good. So when you start growing, you actually start noticing those 20 things that you did, and you give yourself relief when you make that one mistake, and like you understand yourself, you hold yourself. It's okay. I made one wrong decision today. Next time I will make it in a different way, in a way that is supporting me. And it's always in that moment about being honest with yourself and supporting yourself, even if it is just 1 minute in front of mirror and you got this. It's okay. Next time you will make better decision. It will matter. As much as crazy it sounds, I'm telling you from my own experience, it does matter. When you make a lot of micro small decisions, good decisions that's supporting you, and then you make that one mistake, and even if you support yourself by looking in the mirror and say, it's okay, next time we will do better, it means a lot. Because a lot of us, we never got that in our life. A lot of us, we didn't got in our life somebody to tell us, it's okay, next time you're going to do it better. If you are lucky to have those kind of parents to tell you that, I'm really happy for you. But honestly, from my own experience and a lot of people around me, we didn't got that type of support from our environment, from the people we grow up with. It was always expected to do more, to be better, to be perfect. So this is how you supporting yourself, by allowing yourself to grow even in those small mistakes. I wouldn't even call them mistakes, more like a decision which is not supporting you, because basically there is no mistake. If you're learning something from the wrong decision you made, it's not mistake. Still, it's a learning process, it's a learning curve. And a lot of females, they think that they need to be ready to change. Their life needs to align. Everything needs to be perfect. Oh, I cannot read books and read the podcasts and listen to podcasts and do all of these things. I have a kids and I have a job and I have this. But actually it doesn't go that way. It just goes in a way of making different decisions in a moment, making decision which is supporting you. And all of those supporting materials, how would I call them, like books and podcasts or whatever form of knowledge you are using to bring awareness, they are just supporting you to have more awareness about yourself. But those things, they will not make change in your life if you don't start implementing what you learn from those things, if you don't start making micro decisions in a moment to change actually something. So maybe today you don't need to change your life. Maybe today you don't need to make some huge declarations to your family that from today you're gonna be a different person. Maybe today you can choose to make that one small micro decision which will bring you closer to the version of yourself that you wanna be. Maybe today you don't need to make huge changes. You just need to make that one small clear decision where you're supporting yourself, because real growth doesn't scream. This is not something which happens boom, like loud bang of growth. It's something which happens in those small moments, small decisions that you make that usually actually nobody knows anything about. That will be it for this podcast episode from my car. I hope you enjoyed. I really loved it and enjoyed so much recording it in a car on the parking lot. Now I go back to my family, to my life. It's a Eid holiday and a lot of things is happening like usually when it's holiday. Until the next Sunday, enjoy rest of your day and see you. Bye.